for a resolution.
Oh, okay, good.
Good afternoon. We are going to call the regular meeting of the Hood River White Salmon Bridge Authority to order at 2:00 on January 22nd, 2024. And if you are online, I'm sure you can see all the big smiles in the room and some people screaming and hooting and hollering. Thank you, Marla. With that said, we're going to take a roll call, and we're going to go in the room, around the room, from my left, and then we'll go online. Everybody would please give us your name.
Mike Sheehan. Seth Gilchrist. Arthur Babbitts.
Marla Kiefler.
Amy Clark.
Grant Polson.
Eric Wilson.
Mike Fox.
Jacob Anderson.
Kelly O'Grady Smith. Addie Rosas.
Peggy Hahn.
Okay, and then online, we've got Catherine. Jake Oakenberg. We've got Debbie, Stacy, from U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley's office. Mark Bailey. Uh-oh, now it's getting messed up.
Oh boy,
Hi, Stacy.
your people are moving now. Stop moving.
Jake Edwards, Carrie Witt, Mark Greenbro, Jamie, Jamie Classic, Judy Barone, Tamara Geardhar.
Hi, greetings, folks. Senator Merkley here.
Senator Merkley,
Oh, excellent.
thank you for calling in. Being the
You
city
bet.
senator phone, please tell us the great news, sir.
Well, so are we in the waiting room now, or are we in the regular meeting?
We are in the meeting.
Oh, well, terrific. Hey, greetings, everybody. I just got off the plane seconds ago. So I'm so glad I was able to join you all for this. The Hood River White Salmon Bridge, countless conversations about how important this bridge is, what a vital arterial it is, the great length one has to go either direction otherwise to cross the Columbia, the partnerships that have been developed to make this bridge possible. And so every once in a while, as we all are working together, we get a moment, we hit a milestone, we hit a victory, and that's today. The $200 million US DOT infra bridge replacement grant is secured. So congratulations, everyone.
Thank you,
And I'll
Senator,
just keep talking for a second. I just want to note that the existing bridge, it has functioned for 100 years. This bridge, it's going to be stronger, it's going to be wider, it's going to be safer, and it's going to serve us well for 100 years to come. So again, congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
You bet.
Do we have anyone from any of our other federal delegation online? Stacy.
Oh, you're muted. You're on mute.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, I'm just here with Senator Merkley, so happy to be here. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you, Stacy. If we have anyone else call in, please somebody let me know, and then we can hear from them. With that, I need a motion to approve the agenda
So moved.
with the addition of the resolution.
Oh, I thought that was on the agenda. Sorry. Okay.
Put it under new business if that works for you.
So moved. Thank you.
All right.
Second.
Here's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. We have Republican leader Jeff Helfrich online.
And I
Hey, how we
think,
doing, guys?
oh, sorry, real quick. I think Senator Merkley was going to jump off too, so I just wanted to let y'all know that real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, folks, I'm going to jump in the car and get to the vote. And so Stacy on my team will stay with you. But again, it was, both sides of the river, both chambers of the House, both parties, everyone working together to make this happen. So it's a terrific, well done moment. Take care.
Thank you, Senator. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was working on next. Republican leader Jeff Helfrich. We see you online. I'm guessing you heard the news too.
Yeah, I got a little preview earlier this morning. Congratulations. The hard work on both sides of the river paid off. I think this last session for me and being on transportation was able to get that across the finish line to show the Oregon commitment to the Hood River White Salmon Bridge project is showed the federal government that we're serious about getting a bridge done.
Yes, thank you so much, Jeff. That definitely made a difference, I'm sure. It's a federal level. With that, I would like to give some thanks as well. Not only our federal delegation, but to Summit Strategies, to Jake, Ryan, and Jim, and our dearly departed Hal Heemstra. Thank you all for all of your hard work at the federal level. And then for our actual application, it's easy for us to sit here and say, yeah, we advocated really hard, but this was a competitive application, and those competitive applications are hugely competitive. And so from HMTB, I want to give thanks to Carrie Witt, Chris Kopp, Song Ha Hong, Diane Gormley Barnes, Honey Shore Posner, Geert Harreddy, Kate Trimble, Levon Boyan, and David Schottke, and to our project manager, Michael Shannon. Thank you all for the application that you put together. I'd also like to give special thanks to Kevin Greenwood and the port staff. Kevin is, he shepherded this project before he was executive director for quite some time. And I can see his big smile online right now. This is a big win for all of us. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Marla, the head of our communications work group, and for all of her trips to DC and all of her dedication. And especially to Mike Fox, the head of our engineering work group, the co-chair of the Bridge Authority, and the chief volunteer. So thank you all. This is a huge win. We are in a whole new moment, especially considering that applications are due today. With that, we will move on to the approval and correction of the minutes from January 8th.
I feel like I want to clap for everybody. It's been through. It's been decades. So awesome. And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes if that helps move things along.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes from January 8th. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next, public comment. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. If you have public comment either in the room or online, please raise your hand. If we don't have any public comment and anybody else would like to give any thanks or say anything, please raise your hand in the room or online.
Well, if no one's raising their hand, I do just want to jump in and share with everyone that right before I got here and screamed, Senator Murray called with the news as well. And so I definitely expressed our thanks to her entire team and all the help that they have been both in the DC office and in Central Washington. And she's very excited for all of us. And thank you, Jake. Especially, I think your recognition just now captured a lot of the people that have touched this and gave a nice moment for all of us to appreciate how many years this has been underway. So very exciting.
Okay, is there any other public comment?
Hey, Jake, just wanted to report, I did have a phone call with Congressman Blumenauer this morning, and he wanted me to pass along congratulations to the Bridge Authority and to Commissioner Fox and all of you. And so anyway, just wanted to pass that along from Congressman Blumenauer.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there anyone else?
Okay, I'll jump in. I know you weren't expecting this. It's okay to sit back a little bit and reflect what's happened the last couple of years. And if you go back to 21, 20, and so on, and see where this project really was, it didn't exist. There was no plan to really get this bridge built anytime in our lifetime. And if you take a look at the organization, the bi-state working group, that there's members in this room and other members that went off that team, the Bridge Authority, as well as the port, And if you take a look at what has happened over the last 2 years, it's amazing what we've gotten accomplished, working together, pulling in the same direction. There's an awful lot of people said we couldn't do what we did, and by God, we did it. And I think going forward, we've got a real project now at $200 million plus the rest of the funding that we do have. We've got a real project, and we're geared up to show people how to get a bridge built for our community. And I'm absolutely convinced that we're going to have it done, and we'll beat the schedule and we'll beat the cost on it. So I think it's just worth sitting back a little bit and taking a look at what we all have accomplished. It's a lot.
Thank you for getting the cake, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, I will admit, growing up here, I was always one of those people that said, I'll be dead before that bridge gets replaced. And we'd been talking about it for 30 years or longer. And Mike's right. We got a project. When we look at the numbers with just grants alone, we're at $319 million. That's 61% of the total cost in grants. Sooner or later, we'll have a cost on what that would be in savings going across the bridge per person per toll, just in the grants alone that we currently have. If you include in the TIFI alone, our delta is now right at 25%. Usually you can start moving on projects like start construction at 80% because you know when you get to 80%, it's going to come. So I could say, I'm happy to say, I hope I don't die before 2030 because I want to see this bridge built. And I want to be proven wrong. Okay, with that, public comment is now closed.
Became our own comment.
We are going to move into the co-chair's report. And I think we've reported on the big stuff, but if Mike, do you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay, let's move into the project director bridge update report.
All right, well, with that money, we now have a project and we're happy to start moving forward. And I said this earlier today, we weren't necessarily allowed to be competitive when it came to getting the grant funding, but we sure can be competitive when it comes to who gets the bridge built first. So I do not plan to allow a bridge a little farther downriver from us to be built before this bridge is built. So that is now our challenge, is to get this thing built and get it open. So I want to say, thank you for everyone that did the hard work. And I think it's now time for us to deliver on that hard work. So speaking of that, we still have a lot of things going on and a lot to do over the next few years. We're still waiting for 2024 appropriations requests. We should hear from those here, we believe, in January, as well as the 2025 requests have now started to come out. So we've got Wyden and Merkley's requests, and we'll start working on that. And I'm sure others will follow soon. We do have a bridge investment program grant out still. Maybe they'll forget and we'll see another 200 million. Don't count on that, but it's possible. Hey, and then, we will start moving forward with going back to the states in 2025 for their long sessions. We still have a little bit of work to do on that side to get us completely funded. And then that will close us to having our full funding. So that will be our next big push, is to get the remaining funding from the two states now that the feds have stepped up and done their part. So, and locally, we've done that as well with our toll increase and getting ready for our TIFIA loan. So hopefully we can close those final couple pieces. Treaty tribes, we're making good progress there. We're working with NESPERS. We've got legal responses back on the NESPERS agreement. We'll get those incorporated and anticipate bringing that back to the board in February for your okay to sign and move that forward. And that'll be getting us closer to then having our first agreement with the treaty tribes. We're making progress with NESPERS. FHWA has stepped up to reach out to Yakima Nation to move forward with their stuff, as well as sending a letter to Warm Springs, encouraging them to meet with us. So those are starting to move as well. The biological opinion.
Yeah, come on. I mean, you may tell.
That's the big one that we are in legal review right now with. So that's the one that's furthest along. Also, the biological opinion I heard last week from our FHWA lead that's working with NIMS that has went to their final reviews. And they are still thinking that we will get the biological opinion signed by the end of January. So hopefully that will come through in the next week or so, and we'll get that step done.
2024.
24, yes.
Another cake.
I already.
Yes. So hopefully that will come through, and that'll be another big step for us in getting forward to our rod. Right away, we're making progress with right away, prioritizing the parcels and working just to get those identified and get prepared for when we need to start doing our right away purchases and agreements. The other big piece is the IGA with the port. There is a draft version of that that's been shared with the port. So that is starting to make progress as well, and hopefully we'll see some additional progress this week on that to get that finalized. I think that was the main pieces for today. Yep, that's it.
Okay. Do we have any other open action items you'd like to review first?
We do not.
Okay. We have before us the 2024 or the consent agenda with the 2024 meeting schedule and the January invoice approval. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the consent?
Also move.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear anybody online. I know we've got.
We have, are all the 6 here?
Doug was
An
on.
alternate.
Oh, did Doug leave?
He dropped off. I texted him, but I haven't heard back.
Okay,
So
well. Sorry, Doug. That's also. Okay, and Ben's online as well. Okay. I'm sure our staff has written down all the names for the minutes. Let's move on to our committee reports, funding and finance. Sorry, we stole your thunder.
Any money come in?
See y'all next month. Yeah, we have $200 million. Yeah.
I love how you do that.
We're done. Yeah.
You're disbanding the committee.
We completed our. No, we met last week to go review cash flow options and evaluate those options and bring forward a recommendation to the commission to authorize staff to pursue both the infrastructure bank from the state as well as interjurisdictional loans between us and the port or county or whoever to pursue those two in the right now. Any further loans or funding we don't necessarily need to do immediately. We want to have the options available further in the future. We haven't gotten to that point yet, and those other options are generally more expensive than the infrastructure bank and the interjurisdictional loans. So those are the two options that we've concluded on, and feel free to answer any questions you guys have about that. We're also evaluating the entire budget down to on a monthly basis and instructed staff to work on that. So we know exactly the cash flow throughout the entire project and exactly the maximum amount of funds that we would need on a monthly basis as opposed to quarterly or annually basis.
I don't have a question.
I have a question. So the state parts of the funding stack, there are different flavors of commitment of different sizes of chunks of money at the state. Do you have the information in front of you to review exactly where we are now in terms of each of the two states?
Yes, so I'll start with Washington. Washington has committed 75 million through their last LEAP program.
And that's for that's in this biennium or
so? Yeah, the way that 75 million is broken out is there's 15 million in the 23 to 25 biennium. That's the money that we're currently working on to get state and federal, because they've broken it up into 5 million state, 10 million federal. And 25 to 27, they have allocated 30 million. And then 27 to 29, another 30 million. Now, they've put that into the LEAP, but every year they have to approve their supplemental budgets in order for that money to be active every year. So we still need to pay attention to that, make sure they see that we're making progress, make sure that money doesn't get swept to some other source. But that's money that they've identified as coming to the project.
Okay, I'm saying that was 75, right?
75 million. Washington funding, yes. And then on the Oregon side, we have 20 million coming through a lottery bond sale in 2025. And then that is their 23 to 25 biennium allocation. So once they do the lottery bond sale in 2025, then that funding will come through ODOT to the project.
And so we're looking for another 105 million from Oregon and 50 million from the state of Washington.
Exactly.
Thanks.
And then regarding the two debt instruments for cash flow that I mentioned, Oregon Infrastructure Bank has a cap of $5 million. And then other jurisdictional loans are TBD on the exact ceiling max amount.
Catherine's got her hand up.
Catherine,
Sure. Quick question. With the 200 million coming with federal funding, was there ever a question that we had to ensure a certain percentage was federal versus state for all that? And have we reached that now with the 200 million federal?
Gary?
No, the answer is no. So federal funding, and that includes TIFIA loans and the sum total of all federal money going into the project, can equal up to 80% of the total project cost. And so the other 20% has to be completely non-federal in nature. And so you were talking about kind of the colors of money. Some of the money that we're going to get from Washington State, none of the money yet from Oregon, but some of the money we're going to get from Washington State is federal. And so that will count towards the federal portion. So we have to monitor very carefully, and we might have to get involved in working with the states to make sure that a sufficient amount of state funding is coming in to allow us to make that 20% match. The other potential issue is the timing of the arrival of that. So we have this big chunk of federal money, and it will be a reimbursement type grant. As we spend that money, we will need to have 20% local match to go with it. So we do need to monitor that and watch it, and perhaps lobby with the states to make sure that we're getting the right color of money.
Catherine?
So because right now the only state money I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that 5 million from Washington. Everything else was federal, correct?
Mhm.
All of the Oregon money so far, so the 20 million state lottery bonds would be state funding.
Heard.
And of the 75 for Washington.
5 million
how much
so
is-
far.
5 million so far, but do we have any indication?
Not yet on the remaining amounts, but that is something we need to keep that discussion with Washington about leveraging that to be state funds.
And Carrie, did you state that the TIFIA loan money cannot be counted towards, because you're paying that back, it cannot be counted towards the 80% grant?
No, the TIFIA money is federal money towards the 80%. So when they say 80% federal funding, that's the sum total of your federal grants plus your TIFIA,
Even though we pay it back.
Yeah, even though
we pay it back.
I know at the county level, if we take a loan out, then that counts towards our portion, our local portion.
But you're not borrowing from the federal government at favorable rates.
Okay. That's gonna make things more interesting.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Catch a thing like that.
And I have to be on the hook for.
Yeah, going forward, we'll have to monitor exactly how much of the state funds come from the feds. Right now, between TIFIA and this grant, that's around 60% by themselves. So there's
There's a little bit of room in.
A little bit of room in there, but it's definitely something to be continuously monitored.
But the real issue is gonna be, I think, it's gonna be timing
Mhm.
of the expenditure.
Yep, and that's why we are recommending to first have to move forward with the infrastructure bank loan from Oregon, as well as interjurisdictional authorizing staff to move forward with those two. And continue to keep our eye on any others that might come up that are favorable.
Right. My recollection, I missed the last meeting, so I apologize, but the sort of pinch point there was the intergovernmental agreement with the port, if I remember correctly, because we currently just don't really exist as an entity apart from them.
Every jurisdiction is going to have a different agreement. So we have to go through that process with each different group.
But to be able to get loans, because we don't have a bank account or a credit rating, all that kind of stuff, that's kind of a critical
Wouldn't
path.
need a credit rating to make an intergovernment agreement with another intergovernmental agency. Credit rating is for institutional lending, banks, commercial institutions, that sort of thing. So as we go through and have our own financial mechanisms and whatnot, which we're working on right now, we'll be able to have our own bank accounts and that sort of thing.
And as far as the IGA, I would expect within a month, we ought to have that thing signed.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's my report.
Yeah. And Michael, myself, Mike, we have a meeting with the county administrator soon. Talk with the city of Hood River about it. They're evaluating their budget to see if there's any room there. So there's a few different jurisdictions that we've asked around about.
And I know in Clickitat County, our treasurer is looking into it as well, because we've never done anything like that.
Yeah. Not many local jurisdictions have built bridges in this way.
I have briefed the county administrator though, and she said she's in conversation with you.
Yep.
Okay, any questions? Other questions for funding and finance? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our engineering and construction.
I'll start it and you jump in. The last couple of meetings, we've spent getting ready for the whole RFP evaluation process. Bids are due in today by 5 o'clock. So we're having an official kickoff tomorrow with the evaluation team, and we've got pretty comprehensive schedule for the next 6 to 8 weeks to go through all of the evaluations and come up with a recommendation. The other thing that we've been working on, I'm not going to go into detail, but we're trying to break the last a little bit and look at getting ready to negotiate with the contractor, maybe some different terms to give us some assurance of end date and cost of the project. So we came up with some ideas, and we're flushing that out a little bit, and we're going to take it to the lawyers to see how much trouble we get ourselves into if we propose this. And at some point in time, I'm sure we'll bring it to the full board, maybe an executive session to talk about a little bit more before we do anything with it.
Can you remind us who the committee is that's reviewing the bids?
Yeah, it's Catherine, it's Eric, myself, and then there's a rep from ODOT.
Yep.
And a rep from WashDOT.
And Laura Peterson.
I really want to thank you guys for doing that. I know it's a huge commitment of time. So thank you.
And there is a committee of the technical advisors that will be diving into those specific areas and present it to the evaluation members. Educated evaluation.
Thanks.
Hey, Michael, have you received any proposals yet?
The due date is today at 5 p.m. We are looking at their procurement portal. There is some movement, but until 5, they have a right to withdraw. So I cannot disclose everything yet, but there is some movement.
So are you telling us there's something sitting out there?
He's saying we're moving on from the discussion. Anything else for the engineering and engineering update?
I just want to add one more thing for the next round for this board meeting. We'll be back on February 26th with a recommendation with a high strength form after we go through this evaluation and interviews and the price proposal. So 26th of February, we'll be coming back with the selected form.
All right.
Is that the point that we actually make a decision? So at that meeting, will we approve?
Yeah.
Or we're
We'll say,
to approve?
here's who we suggest that we start negotiating with, and we explain to you why we think.
He's got the money.
No,
Now we're gonna spend it.
Yeah.
We approve the initiation of a negotiation.
Right. With a high strength.
This is working out well.
High score of 5.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you all on that committee for the next month of paying. Catherine?
Sir, can I just confirm with the committee and also Mike Shannon that we are not expected to be in the office to review prior to the kickoff meeting? And are we as a committee doing the kickoff meeting in person or are we doing that virtually?
We have either option.
Yeah.
We will have an in-person as well as a virtual.
Yeah, Catherine, so if the roads are too bad, safety is first. So stay home and Zoom in or team in.
I
Otherwise,
hope
come
the
on.
I hope the FedEx truck that's stuck in my lane is removed by then, but is the committee planning to be in person? Because if the committee is planning to be in person, but if we're all planning to be virtual, I just think, because we're probably going through the how to review and the SharePoint and stuff, correct? Should we all bring our computers?
I'm not gonna, have you got a confirmation from ODOT and WashDOT if they can?
Yes.
They're gonna be here in person?
Okay, so ODOT and WashDOT will be here tomorrow, so we'll be here too.
Everything else, all the documents are in the procurement portal. So in case something happens, you'll be able to access all the proposals. You'll get it tomorrow.
Okay. Any other questions for these fine folks? Hearing none, we will move on. I know it says report on the first meeting, but since Arthur said somebody was going to jump in on his report, now he has to report.
Yeah, and I wasn't here for the last meeting because I had another board meeting at that time. So thank you. At first, I will comment. I've been on the bridge committee officially since 2007. So it really is quite thrilling to me to see actual forward progress and significant forward progress. I have been I've been kind of the counterpoint to Mike Fox, to Mike failure is not an option Fox, being somewhat skeptical as we've been going along, but I'm thrilled to say I'm no longer skeptical. I'm quite optimistic about this project now. So on governance, administration, operations, first thing is the IGA. So you all at the last meeting approved a letter which described the terms which we would like to negotiate with the Port Commission. And the Port Commission also approved that same letter. So that's been turned over to the attorneys to prepare an IGA. And on this past Friday, so 4 days ago, our attorneys passed along to the port attorneys a draft of that IGA for their consideration. And a few things we've done is, number one is we wanted to make sure that this can be completed very quickly. As Mike said, we'd like to have it by the end of the month. So the right-of-way issues, we've separated those, or we've recommended that those be separated so that because there's just a fair amount of detail in there that even if both sets of attorneys are in complete agreement, it can take them a while just to get the language perfect. So we've agreed that that's a reasonable thing to separate. And then the Port Commission expressed to us that they have a concern about, well, their staff raised to them a concern about paying our bills. So they've been asked to pay our bills, such as our legal bills and various other bills. And they're concerned with needing to approve payment of bills that are not in their budget. And they're worried that they wind up with audit issues, et cetera. So we turned that issue over to the attorneys and they came up with a temporary measure, which we can take, which is this resolution that we have here today, which lets us get through the approval of the IGA. So before the IGA is approved, we have a temporary interaction or authorization, which if both sides agree, lets them pay our bills until we have the IGA. And then when we have the IGA, of course, everything is under the terms of the IGA.
Oh, so to add on to that,
Yes.
this agreement that we've got on the table, if we all agree to it, we want to take it, give it to the port for tomorrow night. Port has a mission meeting tomorrow night. They'll look at it, vote on it, and it could be that that's behind us.
Correct. And they have a version of this resolution also. It's actually, the resolutions are slightly different, as I understand, because we're asking them to do something and they have to agree to do something. So we get the two halves of that handshake, but that should be completed by tomorrow night. And I think we did joke about this a little bit. The attorneys are motivated to get this piece to happen because their bill is the first one in the hopper. It's waiting to be paid. So that's always very clever. Whoever figured that out, Mike? No, you don't take credit for it. Okay. So very, very clever. Anyway, and then the remaining thing in my committee is the bylaws. And we do have in the share files, we have a draft to consider, but with the internet being up and down repeatedly last week, I was unable to review anything. So I can't comment on how far along it is because I haven't had a chance to review it. But hopefully, what I've said before is we're operating well. We don't want to break anything, but we do need to have bylaws in place because there's significant things down the road. Now that we actually will have money, we actually have things happening on a daily or weekly basis. We really need to make sure that that all of our rules of operation, rules of procedure are as we intend them to be, and hopefully we can get that done very quickly now that we have the IGA out. Presuming the IGA will be out of the way very soon, and then we will be completely focused on the bylaws. Any questions for me?
Not seeing any. Thank you. All right, let's move on to our communications and government relations.
So obviously very exciting news to wake up to this morning. And I just want to thank the JLO team and Mike's team. It was really nice for us to be able to be so quick and responsive with quotes from multiple commissioners that spoke to key points that we wanted to emphasize and make sure that those were included in the notices that went out from the different congressional offices. And it's really nice timing because on Wednesday we have a Facebook Live event. This had been planned for a while, but certainly please continue to help spread the word and maybe we'll get some more people tuning in as they hear this news about the grant. But the plan there is really for the public to ask questions and also an opportunity for us to address some of the often questions we're seeing online. And so Jake, Mike, and myself will be the commissioners that are answering questions on the call. Jessica with the JLO team is going to host it. And we'll see how it goes. There's been conversation of maybe we'll do this as a somewhat frequent opportunity and rotate the commissioners potentially that are on there so that now, especially, I think there'll be more attention on this project as it feels more real to the community, that this could be a way to continually get more outreach into the public, because obviously we don't get a lot of public participation at these meetings. And the way that people can join that is on Facebook. You do not need a Facebook account. So I know that question's been asked by some, but if you follow that direct link, you can watch it and never sign up for Facebook. So just want to make sure that that's out there. And if you have any questions, let me or Mike or anyone know. We're also working on the funding pie charts now that we have this big part secured. We're going to visually kind of change the way we're presenting it just so that it really drives home to people the portion that we were talking about earlier that's funded, because I think that's going to be a key part visually for people to understand that we really did just pass a huge milestone. And then on the Story Gorge side of things, obviously producing videos has kind of been a point of emphasis in the last year or two to really try to tell this story with those people making funding decisions, but also to capture the whole project since it is significant. Story Gorge is still getting footage and on track to produce additional stories. We're making sure, or I expressed at our last communications meeting, that we really want to make sure we're covering the Bridge Aesthetics Committee work. Even if that's not a video that's produced now, it's this one part of this project. We want to make sure we have that footage and can tell that story when appropriate. They're doing interviews right now with regular bridge users and also on the side of speaking to the emergency response and how that bridge factors into a lot of local emergency needs. But we're kind of waiting to see which video they'll actually move into producing a final story based on what that need is. If we hadn't gotten this grant, we were thinking in August we would need a compelling story to tell. So it's kind of nice that maybe we don't need that now. But yeah, so those are the updates on the video side. And then generally, I would say the JLA team, Jessica or Anna, feel free to jump in. They've been working on some other things, finalizing the signage for this building, which we aren't able to do the type of signage we were envisioning outside, but we're still going to have branding. And then they were working on an end of year report just to update everyone on kind of the activity that was done. And I guess I would say, generally speaking, for the communications committee, you know, our approach to the outreach that we're doing is really about being a trusted resource for this project, more so than trying to get all kinds of new followers or use the accounts that we do have in the social media space to be seen as something else. And so not that we aren't trying to attract people, and I think through the Facebook Live we'll get more, you know, traction as well, but we are trying to stay true to drawing a line that this is your resource for information about the project and not a place where we want to veer into like outside of that lane. So
two comments maybe to think about. Number one, towards mid-year, second half of the year, should we not be thinking about making more trips up to Olympia and then down to Salem to try and influence the 25-year funding budget cycle and how much money we still need from each of the states, and crafting this story? Okay, we got the big chunk, we've got chunks from Washington. Okay, Oregon, it's your turn. You gotta come play. Is one issue. The other issue, from more of a personal, just I hate to see this bridge downriver from us capturing all kinds of TV and articles and so on, and we don't see anything on ours. Do we have an opportunity now that we're a real project and to kind of showcase, okay, what are we doing to really execute our project? And we're not trying to make a comparison, but throwing a challenge down.
I mean, I think we'll see news coverage of this grant
Right now.
announcement.
It's on Coin, it's on the Columbian.
Yeah, and I think somebody said it earlier, but now I think this project's always felt real for a lot of us that have been thinking and working on it daily. But I think now we've reached the tipping point where it starts to seem real to the general public and to some of those local outlets that in the past we've tried to pitch our story to, of how we're a different type of infrastructure project and how valuable this type of federal investment would be for communities of our size. And I think, you know, the JLA team has worked on some different ways that we've framed that. And absolutely, I think the hope is that if there is continued traction after this announcement, how do we capitalize on that? But I think it's also just the opportunities that we don't even anticipate, but know are forthcoming of how we will tell the story and who we want to pursue to try to tell that and to show how our project is unique, whether that's being on time or.
Yeah, the way I think about it is I think that government does best when it projects quiet competence. And I think that we are in the position to do that. And I'm less concerned about being flashy and getting the news cycle that I am that every time we do get a news cycle, it's because we again did something we said we were going to do. And so far we've been doing great at that. And I'd like to see us continue doing that.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point too. There will be more eyes now on the project, which I think Catherine said earlier when we were first releasing the RFP. And I think collectively just, you know, the values we adopted of doing the work we've promised our communities that we're going to do, and that it's not about getting extra attention or the flash, but let our work speak for itself, which I think we're doing. And I do think valid though, Mike, that when we are doing work and we reach these milestones, we should make sure that it's getting coverage. It deserves coverage.
Because if I remember right, we've hit every mark we've ever put down.
So we can tell that story.
And
I really don't. I'm just kidding.
Hold on, wait a second. We had some marks or I believe, yeah.
Who's gonna keep going?
Uh-huh. I won't say them out loud, but we've definitely missed a few marks since I've been sat down.
So I've had my first questions from people post funding announcement. So I'll pass those along so you guys can be prepared for them. And one of them is an easy one, which is when will I be able to drive across the bridge? And I will tell you that I've spoken to people who were previous port commissioners, people who are active in government, who have said to me in the last week things like, it's not going to be any time in the next couple of decades, is it? So,
Start telling them October 1st at 10 a.m.
2029.
Correct. I got 3 hours he can take away between now and then.
But seriously, this is,
Yes.
people have not been paying attention because they were not
didn't believe it.
this, and now we're getting some attention. So then the next question I got is a great one because it shows that they're paying attention. Someone wanted to know, when is the launching ramp going to close? And when it does, how will the sheriff's boat get in the water to protect me when I break my kite and float down the river?
Well, the sheriff's boat's already in the water in a house, what do you call it, houseboat out there. So they're already in the water.
It's a broad question of fishing, et cetera. I'm not asking for an answer here. I'm just saying that to me, that was encouraging to get that question because it shows that people are actually thinking there's actually going to be something happening, which is going to get in the way. I have to start planning around it. I'll tell you the answer I gave him, which is that we are just getting ready to hire an engineering company. Part of the engineering will be deciding things like how to deal with that corridor and exactly what's going to be where, when, and how to make that happen. So that's
I would just encourage all of us an idea here. Every time somebody asks me, when is the bridge going to be open? I said, October 2029.
Right.
And then when they ask again, I say October 1st, 2029. And the more that we do, the more people start believing what we're saying, including ourselves. So I think we ought to adapt and get really aggressive at it, that until proven absolute we can't make it, it's October 1st, 2029. And we'll change it.
No.
September 30th, 2029.
I think Arthur does bring up a good point in the communication thing. We should probably talk about the frequently asked questions because they're going to change now.
Yeah.
They're going to be, when are you going to be done and how long does it take? And I think we do need to start shifting our focus because people will immediately start changing to, okay, now when are you going to be done?
It's more
be
so
ahead of everybody.
it's how is this going to affect me?
Yes. And what's the impact
my way when I want to do something.
Yeah.
And I think the transparency will be more important now about where's the money going? Who is getting paid for this project and how is that benefiting our communities? So I think like all those different elements will start to be.
I think we also need to be ready with a question back. How can they help us? Okay, now that we get the big money, how can I help you?
Yeah.
But we still need the little money from the two states.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
One more than the other.
Catherine has her hand up. I know
So we had two things, Marla. One, I've already gotten asked what percentage of funding has been accomplished. So I'm wondering if we actually have that, because although it's 200 million, it's still not necessarily like there's still work to go, right? And I think that needs to be said. And then the other thing that I would like to bring up, I really think it's going to be important once we actually get the MOUs back from all the different indigenous tribes, that we celebrate that as an accomplishment, as a different type of community coming together and ensuring that we're all entering the project whole, but also leaving the project whole. And I think that would be something maybe for Story Gorge. I just wanted to down the road, because that's not, tomorrow, but it might be a different idea. Over.
Thank you, Catherine.
Brought the back of the envelope,
Well, so your last point, that's great. And we'll definitely keep that identify that as a future story because you raise a really good point. On the math side of things, the way that we were speaking to it in the release that was drafted, and I think the way we're trying to just communicate it so everyone can get it quickly, is that we're more than halfway funded, which is a very like secure statement. Instead of trying to get into, I mean, it is higher.
We have a super majority.
There you go. So, I mean, we could shift it, but we felt like last week when we were reviewing it, that like more than halfway registers to most people. If we want to say 2/3 or 80%.
Say half, everybody will remember. You start saying
Yeah.
2/3 or 63%.
Yeah, I think more than half people.
Only 2/3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back of the envelope math is approximately 2/3.
More than halfway sounds quicker.
Okay, I'm going to use my executive privilege and we have Raquel Crowley from the office of Senator Murray came online. Hi, Raquel. We can't hear you.
Oh, no.
And I don't speak sign language.
I think she said, wait 1 minute.
I'm glad somebody speaks sign language. Okay.
She's searching for tech support.
Well, is there anything else for communications while she's working on? Any questions? I'll put in my 2 cents. Saying we're halfway there can leave still like, oh, that's a great thing, but there's still quite a bit of doubt. I prefer, if we know we're at 60%, and that's just in grant. 60% of the overall project is just in grant. I have tech people in the room, so I'm not sure what is happening with my audio. Okay, well, we'll wait for you, Raquel.
Amy, send her the cell phone call number through chat.
Yep.
Okay.
But someone made the comment that it would be good to translate that the grant money we got into how much toll. I think you made the point, Greg, to how much toll the community members will not be paying, and people in the region will not be paying.
Yeah, Marla, we can get together and do that math.
Commissioner, are you suggesting that the hypothetical that if the community was going to pay 100%,
exactly,
their tolls would be X, their tolls are going to be that much lower because of.
Precisely, and that's back of the envelope. It doesn't have to be. I know you want to give us the actual number, but
Roughly.
the 15-minute calculation is more than enough.
Gotcha.
I can do that. It's easy.
Yeah, I think that's something that people understand. If we built the bridge just with cash, it would on a 30-year note, this is what the toll would be each way for a regular car. For every 100 million we get, it goes down by this much. And that's something people can understand.
It's really the nature of the discussion is repeatedly, why do we have to pay for a bridge when everyone else's bridges are free? And the reality is we that's not the world that we live in. That would be great if it was, but if we can change that discussion to how much less it is that you're paying than you would have had to pay if we had to bear all of the costs. I mean, it does cost money to have a bridge across the river. If we want to have a bridge across the river here, we're going to have to pay. We simply have no option that doesn't involve that. That said, having 80+% of it come from these other sources means we're paying an awful lot less than we would have paid otherwise.
Or we can say this is the actual cost to cross it to society. That's how much it actually costs to cross. It's just everybody else in the US or in the States is helping pay down that.
Right.
Are you there, Raquel, now?
Nope.
No. Oh.
I put the number in the chat.
Yeah, you're welcome to just call in on a cell phone, Raquel.
There's another part of that logic that, and maybe it doesn't resonate, but we have a private bridge. We're one of the only sets of communities on the West Coast that have their own private bridge because there wasn't enough need to build a public bridge, and that's why we pay a toll. There's I mean, it's kind of hard to look that we're insignificant enough that we don't own, that we own our own bridge.
Right, the difficulty in that argument, I totally agree with you. I think that's a legitimate argument. The difficulty is that there were multiple private bridges that are now public. So the Dallas Bridge, the Longview Bridge, the Astoria Bridge were all private bridges, which now we're left with the toll and those.
I don't think we're precluding ourselves of having a discussion after the bridge is built. Whether we want to give it to somebody.
Yes, no, I get it, but also recognize that the movement is more towards toll facilities from the DOT.
Oh, we might have her. I think we have you.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you.
I've got 3 computers that have the video on, and not one of them is working and connecting to the microphone. Great echoing here.
Turn those 3 computers off.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to leave on the screen there. So hopefully you can all hear me now.
Yes. Perfect. Yep.
Okay, so earlier today, it was hot off the presses. I was traveling and I got the notification about the award. And as soon as I could, I put together a quick memo and called Jake and said, hey, this is the good news. And the senator is probably going to want to call someone. So I believe the senator is called in earlier.
Yes,
was she able to
I
get
spoke
all of
with her
you
earlier.
Okay, cool.
She spoke with Marla.
Okay, so we're very, very excited. I do know that we're going to try to get out to see you sometime in the near future when we've got some great weather. I'm going to post on, we need great weather to be able to travel, right? I'm going to post on LinkedIn some pictures of the tour again, and I think you guys should take a victory lap around. The collaboration is working very, very well, and I look forward to seeing this project take fold. And the bridge, gosh, it's amazing, you guys. You're a mighty little community working together, just making it happen. Good job.
Thanks, Raquel.
Yeah, thank you.
So just keep us all in the loop, and I'm sure Rick will want to call and check in with you all as well too. And you take care, and I look forward to hearing more how you are going to progress along with your own press release coming out here shortly.
Send her some cake too.
All right.
Thank you, Raquel.
Will you all take care, and congratulations to all of you. Pat yourselves on the back. I can't watch you do it, but please do it. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Anything else?
Okay, good. I looked down here and it clicked, and I was like, oh no.
Anything else for communications? Hearing none, we are going to move on to new business. Our first order of business is the loan options available for the Hood River Way Salmon Bridge Authority. We kind of already discussed it.
Ready to discuss it. Okay. To have a motion and authorize staff to pursue those mentioned, or whichever one we deem appropriate for that pursuit.
Okay. Has anybody got the motion available that would like to make a motion?
I move that we have the, you got it. It's the same. I move that we have the Funding Finance Committee proceed forward with evaluating various options and come back to us with a recommendation.
We just did that.
Okay.
It was for direct staff to pursue the infrastructure bank in the state of Oregon, as well as interjurisdictional loans with other jurisdictional agencies.
Okay.
Those 2 today. Okay. Potentially others in the future. We'll continue to evaluate other financial instruments, and if any are appropriate, then we'll bring them back.
Okay.
And if additionally, if we require additional lines of credit or any of those debt instruments as well.
So it's basically the reddish and the bluish column in your matrix.
Page 21.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? And I will rephrase that motion because it kind of, for the minutes, there was a motion made to direct staff to continue and look into the interim financing products. All those in favor? To pursue, yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right. And Doug, were you there? You want to check in on you every now and then.
Yeah,
sorry, had to get off mute. Aye.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, next up, motion carries. We have a resolution on the payments. Everyone should have a resolution in front of you. I would entertain a motion.
Should we get Mark, Mark to explain it, or?
Art, would you like to explain the resolution?
Sure. So, as was discussed earlier, the port has expressed concern about, until we get the IGA, inked by both parties, has expressed concern about making outlays of grant funds that have been awarded to the port, for contracts to which the port is not a signatory. And up until recently, there weren't a lot of those. The port, for example, has PFM under contract and has had HTNB under contract. And so there hasn't been any issues that they might have to answer to their auditor about making payments on contracts to which they are a party. They are concerned about making payments on contracts to which they are not a party. And their concern is increasing. And so pending the signing of the IGA, what we talked about late last week was this board requesting that the Port Commission adopt their own resolution that authorizes those payments to be made. And essentially the whereas clauses and the language that's in the request that is the topic of this resolution is identical to the language that we've been working on in the IGA. So what we're asking the port to do is, during a temporary period until the IGA is signed, to memorialize the authority of their staff to be able to make payments on contracts to which the Bridge Authority is a party and which benefit the Bridge Authority and which are within the authority of the grant funds that were awarded to the port.
I love hearing lawyers say these things. It makes it so crisp and clear.
With that, does anybody have any questions? Don't see how you could, but.
I don't have questions. I did have 2 Scrivener corrections, which do we need to record those in the motion, or? I guess I have one and then a question on another. So
there's one that I took the language from the IGA that puts white salmon in Oregon. So I think we should change that so that it remains in Washington.
Yes. And then my other question was just, we call ourselves
doing other things.
Yes. In section 1, we say that we're the board of directors of the Bridge Authority. I thought we had gone with commissioners. So that would just be another Scrivener.
Well, so the commission information, I mean, all the documents that I've seen to date establish you as the board of directors. So if that's changed, then we should be made aware of those.
Be directors?
Mark, if it's legally, if we have to say directors, that's fine. They did discuss being called commissioners. And I think at previous discussions, that was considered to be interchangeable words. So if we, for legal purposes, need to use the term directors, I think that's where we should go.
If I may, sorry, Mark, to barge in, we have Senator King on the phone, who wants to say something. Senator, can you hear us?
I can, yes. My apologies for interrupting your meeting. I didn't mean to do that, but I just wanted to congratulate everybody on the 200 million that is coming from the federal government, and thank everybody for their efforts in securing that funding. From my standpoint, this will help me, even though we're in a very tight situation budget-wise in the state of Washington. I think this will help me make sure that that we, at least from the Washington side of it, can provide enough money that we can keep this project going and get it done. And I just wanted to recognize everyone's efforts and thank you for doing that. So that was it.
Thank you, Senator. Without you, I can fairly certainly say we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be where we are. So thank you so much for everything you've done.
Well, if I managed to do anything, I'm pleased. You know, that bridge means a lot to me and I want to see it built. So anyway, but thank you all for what you do.
Appreciate it, Senator.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, you can continue.
Oh, sure. I have no objection at all if you want to change directors to commissioners or however you want to style that. That's this is not that's not important.
Okay, so it's just the organ one.
Great.
So I'll make a motion to approve resolution. Do we have a number for it?
Yeah.
No. Okay, approve the resolution between the Hood River White Salmon Bridge Authority and the Port of Hood River
Minor changes.
with Scribner's edits. Yeah.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm pretty sure we're done.
Yeah.
We're stuck. Well, there it is.
Okay, next up, informational items. You have more you want to discuss on that?
So we've got the schedule in there for the RFP. If there's any updates on the board appointments from ClickTech or Hood River County, I did include kind of a summary of what you had sent me on where Hood River was.
Yeah, so I have to update that because so our meeting got canceled and the remainder of the meeting, and honestly, I can't recall if this was in the consent agenda, which we did approve, or the rest of the meeting, which we have not had yet. So if we haven't done it yet, we will be doing it at our special meeting, which is February 5th. It's we have a joint meeting with our planning commission. It's Monday. Well, it's next month. So the next Monday or the Monday after. Hold on a sec. It's Monday the 5th. We have a special meeting at which point we will complete the business that we didn't complete because of weather last Monday.
And in Washington, I'm hoping to have it on the consent agenda for next Tuesday.
Does everyone know what we decided to do? Did you explain that at last meeting? Kind of in terms of the 2 versus 4-year terms and,
Yeah.
and all of that.
So in Washington, we'll do 2 4-year terms for commissioners and 1 2-year term, and same for the alternates, and in Oregon it's flipped.
Right. And the idea is that these are terms that start on January 1st. So we're basically getting everybody into a calendar year cycle. And so you don't get credit for time served. You're basically getting a brand new term starting 2.5 weeks ago. And you'll either get a 2 or 4-year term. And for Hood River County, I just asked staff to randomly assign us so that it would be clear that there wasn't any special complicated thinking going on behind it. It's simply random.
And just because you get a 2-year term doesn't mean you're off the hook in 2 years.
Project will be done in 2030.
Yeah.
Feel free to do whatever you want.
2029.
I've got to tear the old bridge down. So
I can't say that.
It's 22 years for me.
He's going to get the gold wash off this thing.
Yeah. Service pen.
The other items, we did put in there procurement contracting policy update. So to get a chance to look at that, we're going to take it to the governance committee this week, and then it'll come back to you in February. We'll have a discussion about that. The SharePoint portal is up now, so all the committees should have a SharePoint site that they can use. And then they should have read access to all of the other committees. So if you get in there and find out you don't have access to something or you feel like something's missing, let us know. The sites we set up for each committee are completely yours to format and put in whatever folders and do whatever you want. Just let us know and we'll help you work through that. But that's up and running now. And then the WashDOT funding agreement, we sent that back to WashDOT. They had a lot going on last week with ODOT. So they will be working through finalizing that agreement, getting it to their AG, but I anticipate in the next couple of weeks, we'll have that funding agreement in place, which will give us access to the 5 million funding. And they are setting that up to then just need supplementals for any future money, which will help to move that process a little quicker. And then we have also had conversations with the Oregon and Washington lobbyists and ODOT and WashDOT about the need to get the federal agreements, which require WashDOT to have an agreement with ODOT and ODOT to have an agreement with us. So we're working on those as well.
And what is AG?
I'm sorry, Attorney General. Sorry.
I was actually kind of surprised I didn't realize AG's office is involved in this.
They have to sign off on it from WashDOT for the agreement.
Thanks, Catherine.
Sir, do we still have a pinch point in between 1A and 1B? Is that still expected or are we through the pinch point now?
No, we will still have a cash flow pinch point, assuming that's what you're asking about. Okay, that's all for anything that you want to talk about the upcoming action items that you haven't brought up yet? Nope. Okay, we have no presentation.
I do have one question. Are we gonna do something on the bridge tomorrow?
We're doing something on the bridge tomorrow.
Sign.
Yes, yes. Sorry, I was off of that. I was thinking about the housing presentations. I don't know, it was all of it. But yeah, so whoever wants to join, and I already threw it out to Mike, the Mikes and Jake, but I really want to stand at the bridge with poster boards, like spreading the word that we got this award. I mean, now it's out in the news today, so maybe people are hearing it, but I just think it would be nice. Or we do a gathering at everybody's or something, but I just kind of think it'd be fun to get out into the community and try to get people as excited as I clearly am, and I think the rest of you are. So yeah, so 10, I don't know. I was thinking maybe 4 o'clock, catch people as they're like coming home, thinking there's no rain. You don't have to commit right now. Maybe we'll figure out the time later, but.
I've got a little problem there. We've got a port commission. Meeting, and also
that's right.
We've got a kickoff meeting.
So maybe in the morning, or we can hand off.
Donuts.
I already got glitter bordered poster boards.
8 a.m. tomorrow morning?
Yeah, my 2 kids can hold a sign.
I'll bring a 5-gallon pail with tips on it.
I can do 8:30 for a little bit.
All right. 8 to 9 tomorrow morning?
On where? On the Washington side, Oregon side?
Snow covered. I was scouting out locations today when I was crossing the bridge. I feel like Washington's pretty tight, so maybe it would need to be the Oregon side.
I think you could stand right out pretty close to the front of the toll booth and it's.
I was also thinking the port, if Kevin's still on, could do, I already crafted it, but a quick message on their reader board.
Take a look because half of the lane before the toll booth is filled with snow right now. So it's actually kind of dangerous already. So this may not work.
Don't we know anybody that has a snowplow?
With the port, this is the best the port could do. I mean, this mountain.
Yeah, I wonder who's the executive director.
We could.
It's third year. We could do signs for people heading down or up Jewett.
Hey, Kevin, can you get somebody to move the pile in front of the toll booth? Again, I'm just a commissioner. I can't tell you what to do.
Kevin's looking greasy.
No, I hear you. I'll take a look. Is this where the sign is, the variable message sign?
No, it's on the Oregon side, right in front of the toll booth. Apparently, out in front, there's a snow pile.
Just south of the toll booth, half of the lane is kind of, there's no shoulder, right? So it's not safe to have someone standing there. I don't think he's gonna be able to do anything. I really don't.
We could put a message on the reader board.
You could always put a sign in the snowbank.
More signs in the snowbank.
Michael, why don't you follow, Michael Sham, follow up with me after the meeting. We'll get something figured out.
All right, so we will send out something about what we're gonna do between.
Yeah.
It'll be 8 and 9 tomorrow morning, somewhere between here and.
Closer to the intersection or something.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll post people at different locations.
You can do here. It's not bad. Yeah, it's totally clear.
Okay. Okay, that was a presentation. All right, announcements. We have a Facebook Live event. Could one of your reader boards have the QR code for the Facebook Live event? And that is from 5 to 6 on Wednesday. Our next meeting will be Monday, February 12th, 2024, from 2 to 4 here. We have no executive session. I will open it up for a round table or anyone online. I thought Summit may want to say something. Sorry I didn't call on you at the beginning, Jim, and Ryan. I thought Ryan was there.
Jim's still on. Jake's still on.
Oh, Jake's on. If there's anything our federal lobbyists like to say.
Start on the East
No,
Coast.
I mean, I think, everything's been said. I mean, obviously you've heard from the senators and senator's office. I mean, congratulations to all. This is really a great victory. You guys worked it really hard and I think made really strong cases for why this project's needed. And it stood out. I mean, you know that the bridge down the river, also got a big chunk of money, and that could have been a big challenge. But I think you made the case that this bridge is also needed and is separate and distinct. So, you did very well in a very competitive environment. So still a lot of work to do. There's a 60-day period here where, Congress technically could disapprove this. That's, to my knowledge, never happened. But that's a 60-day period where this has to lay over. And then obviously there's the whole, grant agreement negotiation that is, going to be, fairly complicated negotiations. But I mean, this is a big milestone, obviously. And, obviously, and Jake, you said it at the beginning, Hal, our partner Hal, put a tremendous amount of work and effort into this. And, it's unfortunate he's not here to see it hit this important milestone, but it's really, due to the efforts that he put into this over many years. So congratulations to all, and really glad to have the opportunity to be here, and look forward to hopefully, getting that money starting to flow and the bridge starting to get constructed.
Thank you, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else for a roundtable discussion? Kevin, is that your hand up?
If anybody wants to have a celebratory beverage at 5 o'clock, first round is on me at 64, 5 o'clock. So Carrie, get on the plane. Get on the plane, Carrie.
Maybe I should have Jake fly down and pick me up.
This weather, buddy.
Nope. If there was a way for me to be there, I would not miss an opportunity to have a beverage with you, Kevin, regardless. But on this day, as I said to Commissioner Fox earlier today, this is one of my best work days ever. So, yeah.
Hey, Kevin, upstairs or downstairs?
Let's go upstairs, unless everybody in the meeting today is going to show up, and then we might be forced downstairs. So, okay. But I'm serious. The first round's on me. To everybody here, let's celebrate that this evening.
Oh, Kevin, come on up here. We've got a big sheet of cake.
We can bring some cake for you. We'll bring some cake for you.
Across the bridge.
I'll toss some cake as I pass by our office on the way home.
Yeah, bring the leftovers over to 64.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay. It's a whole lot of yay. Okay. No, Carrie said it pretty well. This is a momentous day for his career, and I think it's a momentous day for the Bi-State Bridge Authority. And I know personally it's a momentous day. This is awesome. And I cannot thank you all enough for everything that you do, staff and commissioners. It feels amazing to be on a team where everybody's pointed in the same direction. And I've had a great time in DC lobbying for these dollars with you all. And let's go keep it up. With that, we will I could use a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I know you don't want to second because I know, but I want one.
A second.
All right, there's a motion and a second for adjournment. Thank you all. Have a great day. This meeting is adjourned.
We need to convert